Hello, I'm Eddie O'Sullivan. This is This Week in the Italian Campaign, and I'm speaking to you live from Cassino on the 16th of May, 2024. In This Week in the Italian Campaign, brought to you by the Freedom for Italy Network, the fifth day of Operation Diadem on the 16th of May, 1944. By the night of the 15th of May 1944, after 4 days of attacks, the 5th and 8th Armies were poised to deliver the final blows to the Gustav Line from the Tyrrhenian Sea to the Apennines. On the 13 Corps front, Britain's 78th Division had created a narrow salient from its initial bridgehead into the heart of the line. To the south, America's 2 Corps had advanced along Highway 7 and reached the eastern edges of the Aurunci Mountains, while the French Expeditionary Corps, which had reached the Liri Valley 2 days earlier, was marching through the mountains towards Esperia. West of the Gari, the 6th Royal Inniskilling Fusiliers, one of the 3 battalions of 38 Irish Brigade, had advanced more than a mile in the first phase of the 78th Division's attack through the Gustav Line. It was joined on the Grafton Line, which ran along Cassino to Pignataro Road, by 5 Northampton Regiment of 11 Brigade. On the afternoon of the 15th of May, the 2nd Battalion of the London Irish Rifles came up to continue the attack, with the 2nd Battalion of the Royal Lancashire Fusiliers of 11 Brigade on the right. On the 16th of May, soon after dawn, mist over the battlefield had burned off and there was brilliant sunshine. At 9 o'clock, a massive artillery barrage pounded German positions about 1,000 yards west of the Grafton Line. The London Irish continued the Irish Brigade attack, led the previous day by the Inniskillings towards Sinagoga. To its right, 2nd Royal Lancashire Fusiliers advanced simultaneously. Each company of the London Irish in the front and centre, led by Major Desmond Woods, reached Sinagoga, but it lost more than half its men in the process, including Corporal James Barnes from Monaghan in Southern Ireland, who was killed while leading a charge on a German position. He was posthumously but unsuccessfully recommended for the Victoria Cross. By the end of the day, all objectives were captured, counterattacks were repulsed, but the London Irish had suffered more than 100 casualties, including E Company Sergeant Eddie Mayo, Military Medal, who was killed by a Nebelwerfer shell. Grieving members of his platoon engraved a cross for his grave with the words, "Sergeant Eddie Mayo, the greatest sergeant that ever breathed." To the right of the London Irish, tanks supporting the Lancashire Fusiliers were held up. The battalion found itself without armour or anti-tank guns. While the leading companies were digging in, they were hit by a counter-attack involving 2 Mark IV Panzers. Fusilier Francis Jefferson grabbed an anti-tank Piat gun and dashed forward to within 20 yards of one of the tanks. He fired the Piat and knocked it out. He reloaded and advanced towards the second, which withdrew. By then, the tank supporting the Fusiliers had arrived. For his bravery on the 16th of May, Jefferson was awarded the Victoria Cross. On the 78th Division's right at 6:30 that evening, tanks of Canada's 19 Regiment supported an attack across the Pignataro Road to close the gap between the 4th Division's 10th and 12th Brigades. The 2nd Royal West Kent Regiment advanced to point 61, while the 2nd Bedfordshire and Hertfordshire Regiment attacked points 4 and 9. They ran into a German counterattack. 2 Canadian tanks were knocked out by shoulder-mounted anti-tank guns. The attack had made progress, but failed to reach the objectives. Darkness made further advance impossible. On the 8th Indian Division front, the 1st Canadian Corps was ordered to relieve the division and maintain the advance in the southern half of the Liri Valley. The 1st Canadian Division was ordered forward. The 1st Brigade began to advance, with the Royal Canadian Regiment next to the Liri, and the Hastings and the Prince Edward Regiment in the vicinity of Pignataro. On the left, the Royal Canadian Regiment, supported by tanks of the 142 Regiment, Royal Armoured Corps, disputed a hill which overlooked the junction of the Pignataro lateral with the river road and commanded the approaches to the only bridge across the Liri below Pontecorvo. The assaulting Royal Canadian Regiment Company was forced to withdraw. The Hastings, meanwhile, bypassed Pignataro and reached positions a mile to the west of the village. The relief of the Indian Division was completed that night. A determined advance by both forward brigades was ordered to make contact with the Hitler line. On the two-corps front, 351 infantry on the slopes above St. Knoll on the afternoon of the 15th of May were ordered to advance into the Aurunci mountains to capture Pytchley, 10 miles to the west. The 2nd Battalion, which was in reserve at Santa Maria Infante, was ordered to follow the assault battalions. At 8 o'clock on the 16th of May, the 3rd Battalion reached the 4,600-foot Monte Sant'Angelo. After a brief rest, the 3rd Battalion, followed by the 1st, reached Monte Ruazo around 6 o'clock in the evening. The 1st Battalion came up later and occupied Monte Mazzole. By this time, 351 had outrun its communications, pack trains, and artillery, but it was ready to continue the drive on the 17th. At 10:35 that evening, 8th Army Commander Oliver Lees ordered 2 Polish Corps and 13 Corps to launch a concerted attack to isolate German forces in Cassino. But the Germans had already realized the Gustav Line was irredeemable. At 5:25 that evening, Marshal Kesselring and 10th Army Commander Heinrich von Wichtenhoff discussed the situation on the telephone. They agreed a withdrawal to the Hitler Line. Orders were issued within an hour. On the 16th of May, the Royal Irish Fusiliers and Major Laurie Franklin Vell and his battalion spent a second day in the bridgehead west of the Gari. At 8 o'clock that evening, the battalion was ordered to pass through the London Irish Rifles and capture the Fernie line west of Sinagoga, but half an hour later it was told to stand down as the 4th Division repulsed yet another German counterattack. The advance finally began at 1 o'clock in the morning of the 17th of May. The attack towards Fernie was scheduled for soon after dawn that day. Well, that's the story of what happened in the Battle of Cassino. More accurately, I think, the battle for the Gustav Line 80 years ago today, on the 16th of May 1944. As you heard, it was a very dramatic moment for the 78th Division, and particularly for the Irish Brigade and my father's battalion, the 2nd Battalion, the London Irish Rifles. Major assault, they secured their objectives, and to mark that moment, we, that is the London Irish Rifles Association mission to the region, walked the line, the route, exactly the route of the London Irish Rifles on the 16th of May 1944 to Sinagoga, where we were greeted warmly by the Sinagoga family, who have been living in the hamlet for hundreds of years. So this battle is now continuing, but it's very close to the end. So tomorrow, the 17th of May 1944, on the 80th anniversary, the 17th of May 1944, is going to be really the last great day of this enormous operation. And so I'll be coming back tomorrow to complete the story with the end of this phase of the Italian campaign. So from everybody here in Cassino, it's goodbye, good luck, and may God bless you all.